it's just so common. Like it's 1 out of 70 boys have autism. And, we obviously, we have a daughter and a.
When Tiger Woods recently posted one photo on Instagram, fans thought it was just another celebrity couple reveal. But beneath the surface of that smiling moment was a truth that had been buried for years. A truth involving timelines, family power, and a carefully kept silence. Now, Vanessa Trump just breaks silence on Tiger Woods and shocks everyone. And what she says, it changes everything. The Instagram post that changed everything. In an era ruled by polished perfection, filtered candor, and cryptic captions, celebrity revelations tend to arrive in fragments, leaked by insiders, confirmed by reps, or buried in podcast episodes nobody expects. But this was different. On an otherwise quiet Sunday night, as the world collectively scrolled through their phones in post-weekend haze, a single Instagram post from Tiger Woods detonated across the digital landscape. No warning, no rumors, no TMZ teasers, just 2 photos uploaded directly to his grid, personal, raw, and unmistakably intentional. The first image captured Tiger Woods and Vanessa Trump standing shoulder to shoulder before a wall of ivy so dense it felt like a secret garden. The sunlight caught the edge of her smile. His arm rested gently along her back. It was simple, but it was them. The second image changed everything. A hammock, swaying lazily in the late afternoon breeze, cradled the pair like a secret only the 2 of them had known, until now. Vanessa, with her hair down, rests her head softly against Tiger's chest. His eyes are closed. There is peace in that moment, peace that Tiger Woods, for all his turbulent history, rarely reveals. And then came the caption: minimalist, romantic, unapologetically human. Love is in the air and life is better with you by my side. There were no mysterious lyrics, no strategic hashtags, no hidden messages coded for the gossip columns. It wasn't a breadcrumb. It was the entire cake. Tiger Woods, the notoriously private golf icon, had just posted what amounted to a public love letter. And not just to anyone, but to Vanessa Trump. Within minutes, social media went into meltdown. Comment sections flooded with fire emojis, heart reactions, and thousands of stunned replies from fans, trolls, and media outlets alike. Twitter timelines erupted. Reddit threads multiplied. Journalists scrambled to confirm what their instincts told them. This wasn't a PR stunt. This was real. Vanessa Trump had, for years, evaded the spotlight like a master escape artist. Since her high-profile divorce from Donald Trump Jr. in 2018, she'd chosen silence over spectacle. No interviews, no book deals, no scandal. She was, to the world, a question mark in designer heels. But this post, this pair of photos, was an answer. Because in a time when the internet rarely pauses, this made it freeze. And when it restarted, everything had changed. From Mar-a-Lago to Masters. The path from Palm Beach to Pebble Beach wasn't a straight one. It twisted through privilege and pain, power and privacy, until it landed her here, standing not beside a politician, but quietly behind a sports legend. But looking back now, the breadcrumbs were always there, subtle, scattered across years of fundraisers, family vacations, and whispered golf invitations. Vanessa Trump had spent over a decade as a ghost in gilded halls, a fixture in elite political and social circles, but rarely the one holding the microphone. Mostly she stood beside Don Jr., smiling, composed, the picture-perfect partner in Trump World's photo ops. But when their marriage crumbled in 2018, so did the image. What followed was not chaos, but silence, a strategic, almost surgical retreat from the spotlight. Yet those who were really paying attention saw a shift, a new routine, new company. Her social calendar began to fill again, not with campaign stops or charity galas, but with something more grounded, more human. Insiders started whispering. Vanessa was showing up at golf tournaments, not casually, not occasionally, but consistently, and not in the crowd with the rest of the VIPs. She was tucked into those tightly controlled hospitality zones where the cameras rarely pan, standing just yards away from Tiger Woods. It wasn't the kind of proximity you stumble into. This was curated, controlled, quietly deliberate. And more often than not, she wasn't alone. She had her daughter Kai by her side. What many didn't know was that Kai Trump had blossomed into a rising golf star in her own right. She'd committed to play golf at the University of Miami, a school that Tiger had strong ties to through his philanthropic work and through his own children's training schedules. The overlap, it turned out, wasn't incidental. Kai had trained on some of the same private courses frequented by Tiger's son, Charlie. Sometimes, according to sources close to the clubs, the two families' tee times were only minutes apart, and sometimes they weren't apart at all. Their love story, now confirmed, likely didn't begin with a spark, but with a slow burn. Something that simmered in the shadows of bunkers and tee boxes, that deepened at private clubhouses and closed-door charity dinners. Something that was forged in silence, and only now has found its way into the light. But this isn't just another chapter in the never-ending swirl of celebrity headlines. This is different. This is a seismic collision between two of America's most iconic dynasties, sports and politics. Tiger Woods, the comeback king of golf, whose name still draws reverence in tabloid frenzy alike, and Vanessa Trump, the former model turned quiet survivor of political warfare, emerging not as someone's ex-wife, but as her own force. The overlapping worlds. If you trace the lines far enough, they all connect, sometimes in ways no one expects. On the surface, it looked like coincidence. Two ambitious teenagers, Charlie Woods and Kai Trump, both prodigies in their own right, rising through the same ranks of junior golf. But beneath the surface, something far more complex was unfolding. Charlie, the son of golf legend Tiger Woods, had been dominating youth tournaments since the age of 11. Kai, heir to a legacy rooted in political controversy and media spectacle, had carved out her own spotlight, not just as a trump, but as a serious competitor on the green. Inevitably, their paths began to cross. Again and again. At tournament after tournament, the names Woods and Trump started appearing side by side on leaderboards, and where the kids went, their mothers followed. Vanessa Trump, fiercely private since her high-profile divorce, found herself sharing bleachers and banquet tables with Elin Nordegren and, more frequently than anyone anticipated, with Tiger himself. In early 2024, during a prestigious invitational at West Palm Beach's Breakers Resort, cameras captured a moment that would quietly echo for months. Vanessa, dressed in understated designer casual, was seen chatting with Tiger at the edge of the course. It was brief, seemingly friendly, yet their body language spoke volumes. A hand brushed an arm, a shared laugh, a lean-in that lingered just a second too long. The tabloids brushed it off. Just two famous parents, nothing more. But those moments didn't fade. They multiplied. By the time autumn arrived, whispers had grown louder. Following a high-profile fundraising exhibition at the Doral Blue Monster in Miami, Tiger hosted one of his notoriously private post-tournament dinners, an event known to include only the closest members of his inner circle, trusted sponsors, childhood friends, and a select few confidants. That night, a single photo surfaced, half-blurred and snapped from across the valet loop. It showed Vanessa stepping out of a sleek black Escalade, her face partially turned, her presence unconfirmed until now. Multiple sources have since come forward to verify what was long rumored. Vanessa Trump was there. She stayed late, and she left with Tiger's security team discreetly guiding her exit. Behind the polished Instagram posts, the on-course trophies, and the smiling photos at youth awards ceremonies, a different reality had quietly taken root, long before the public caught wind. The world of elite junior golf, glamorous, competitive, insular, had quietly intersected with the world of political aristocracy. Love in the time of legacy. Tiger Woods had just emerged from one of the most grueling chapters of his life. The 2021 car crash had left him not only physically shattered, with compound fractures, steel rods, and months of painful rehabilitation, but also mentally fractured. For a man who had once been invincible on the green, this wasn't just a setback. It was a reckoning. His body had been rebuilt, but his spirit needed mending. For nearly a year, Tiger vanished from public view. No tournaments, No interviews, no sightings, just a man, alone with his scars, trying to find his footing again. But not entirely alone. Vanessa Trump was quietly present during those dark months, not for the cameras, not for the public image, but for him. While the world speculated about his future, she focused on his present. She wasn't there to save him. She was there to sit beside him in silence when the pain spoke louder than words. She understood not just the glare of media obsession, but the ache of rebuilding a life after it collapses under public scrutiny. Vanessa had endured her own share of scandals, divorces, whispers in the press. She knew how to smile when her world felt like it was crumbling. More importantly, she knew how to protect her children, her privacy, her peace. And that was the quiet power she brought into Tiger's world. Friends close to Woods noticed the change. He seemed steadier, more grounded. There was a softness to his edges that hadn't been there in years. Vanessa brought calm into the chaos, one confidant shared. She didn't ask for anything. She just gave. As 2025 approached, Tiger was preparing for his long-awaited return to the PGA Tour. Cameras buzzed with anticipation. Was the legend really back? Could he still compete? What they didn't capture, what the public never saw, was Vanessa, standing just beyond the ropes, her sunglasses hiding eyes filled with quiet hope. No media pass, no headline grab, just her steady, loyal presence. Sometimes she stood near his mother, quietly exchanging glances. Sometimes she waited by the courtesy car, a water bottle in hand, knowing his leg would be sore after the back nine. And sometimes, when no one was looking, he'd slip her a glance between shots, as if to say, "You're why I'm still here." Their love was not forged in the glow of red carpets or romantic getaways. It was born in physical therapy clinics, in late-night walks on quiet beaches, in the whispered confessions of two people who had been bruised by fame and still chose to trust again. When the Trump family weighed in, if there's ever been a family known for turning personal matters into power plays, it's the Trumps, a dynasty built not just on real estate, but on the careful choreography of public image. So when Tiger Woods posted a photo on Instagram featuring Vanessa Trump, former model, mother of 5, and ex-wife of Donald Trump Jr., people braced for impact. The caption was unusually heartfelt, almost polished. Too polished, some fans thought. It wasn't long before the comment section lit up with suspicion. "No way TW wrote this. This is the most un-Tiger Woods-like post I've ever seen. You better post me vibes for sure." The theory took off. Maybe Vanessa was the one behind the post. Maybe this was her way of breaking her silence, just not from her own account. And if that's true, it worked. Because whether it was a soft launch, a strategic debut, or something more serious, the message landed, loud and clear. But what came next? It wasn't a backlash. It wasn't a passive-aggressive shade. It was something far more curious. Quiet approval. Ivanka Trump, who once shared family dinners and holiday vacations with Vanessa, broke the silence first. Her comment beneath the now viral post was simple, yet telling. "So happy for you both." Then came Donald Trump Jr., who'd once vowed that Vanessa was the rock of their family. Now romantically linked to Palm Beach socialite Bettina Anderson after a rocky and very public split with Kimberly Guilfoyle, he reportedly told friends he was cool with the new romance. But here's the thing with the Trumps. When they go quiet, it's not peace, it's planning. This wasn't just a family reunion in disguise. This was a calculated shift in optics. Vanessa aligning herself with Tiger Woods, an athlete who had transcended sports to become a global icon, wasn't just about love. It was about rebranding, reclaiming, repositioning. And the Trump family, notorious for orchestrating every frame of their public narrative, seemed oddly at ease with it. The White House connection. Tiger Woods has always existed in a peculiar orbit, not just in the realm of sports greatness, but within the gravitational pull of political power. His connection to the White House isn't a recent development, nor is it casual. In 2019, in a highly publicized ceremony, Woods was awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom by then-President Donald J. Trump. The image of Trump placing the medal around Tiger's neck wasn't just a celebration of athletic excellence. It was a nod to mutual admiration, shared status, and perhaps something more quietly strategic. It was symbolism, carved in gold. Now fast forward to 2025, and the chessboard looks strikingly different, yet eerily familiar. Tiger Woods, no longer just a legendary golfer, but a man reshaping his legacy in unexpected ways, is photographed standing beside Vanessa Trump, the ex-wife of Donald Trump Jr. Not in passing, not coincidentally, but as part of what appears to be an emerging alliance. Body language, intentional, the smiles, controlled. The Trump family, curiously supportive, not a hint of resistance, only subtle approval. This wasn't just another photo op. Coincidence? Doubtful. And then there's February, just weeks before that now viral Instagram post that sent rumors flying. Tiger made a notable appearance at a White House event commemorating Black History Month. It wasn't a golf-related invite. It was about heritage, history, and visibility. The cameras captured him engaging with political figures, honoring icons of civil rights, but what they didn't widely broadcast was who else was in the room. Vanessa Trump was there too. Not under the spotlight, not seated at the front with dignitaries and honorees, but she was present, observing, smiling politely, engaging quietly. The kind of presence that doesn't demand attention, but commands notice. For Vanessa, it marked a full-circle moment. A woman who once walked away from the firestorm of political dynasty and tabloid pressure had re-entered that world. But this time, it was different. She wasn't the accessory to someone else's power. She was navigating it on her own terms. She wasn't being introduced, she was being reintroduced. And Tiger? He wasn't just attending. He was aligning. The connections were no longer circumstantial. They were deliberate. The question now isn't whether they were seen together, but why they were seen together. Vanessa Trump, a woman transformed. For years, Vanessa Trump lived in the margins of America's cultural memory, visible but voiceless. She was the poised model in glossy magazines, the elegant mother of five, and the wife who rarely spoke, even as her family became entangled in one of the most divisive political legacies in modern history. She wore silence like armor. She played her role, smiled when cameras snapped, nodded politely when asked about her ex-husband's ambitions or the scandals that surrounded the Trump name. For a long time, that was Vanessa the world knew, or thought they knew. But in the last 12 months, everything changed. It began quietly, almost imperceptibly at first. Close friends noticed her pulling back from public life, retreating from the Manhattan social circuit. Gone were the curated photos at charity galas, the polite holiday press appearances. In their place came a woman building something quietly, something purposeful. She founded a new organization under her maiden name, Hayden Hearts Foundation, aimed at supporting early childhood literacy and emotional wellness in underserved communities. There were no flashy launches or red carpets, just local partnerships with libraries, a mobile book van initiative in the Bronx, and small grants to mental health programs for single mothers. At the same time, she scrubbed her digital footprint clean. Her public social media accounts vanished overnight, replaced only by a modest private Instagram, accessible to no more than a few dozen close friends and family members. Requests for interviews, podcast appearances, and reality show offers were met with a firm but graceful no. She was done performing. Those closest to her say she began to change internally too, meditating daily, taking art therapy classes, journaling obsessively. She restructured her life around authenticity, even if that meant living in the shadows. The woman who once walked silently beside the storm now stood on the edge of something braver. And then came Tiger Woods, but this wasn't a return to the spotlight. This wasn't a red carpet power couple move or a PR maneuver. This was a declaration of independence. Their relationship, whispered about for months, was shrouded in speculation. Tabloids had tried to stitch together timelines, paparazzi had chased down blurred airport sightings, but no one had the full picture until Vanessa Trump just breaks silence on Tiger Woods and shocks everyone. The video title was simple, just one line. It's time to tell the truth. She looked into the camera, unflinching. Her voice, though soft, carried the weight of years spent in silence. What followed wasn't a tabloid confession. It was something more raw, more human. She revealed that her connection with Tiger Woods began not in 2024, as previously assumed, but in the fall of 2022, at a closed-door charity event for veterans in Palm Beach. He was in attendance as a silent donor. She was there representing a friend's foundation. Their interaction lasted less than an hour, but it changed everything. "I think we both knew," she said, her hands resting still in her lap. Not in a fairy tale way. Not in a way that made anything easier, but in a way that made it impossible to ignore. She clarified that this wasn't an affair in the traditional sense. There were no hotel rendezvous, no secret texts stolen in the night. Instead, she called it a love that grew in silence and guilt, one born of restraint, not recklessness. For nearly 2 years, they saw each other rarely, communicated cautiously, and lived with a constant ache of not yet. At the time, Tiger was navigating a public breakup from a woman he had quietly been with since 2019. Vanessa, on the other hand, was untangling herself from a deeply complicated divorce, one that had been finalized on paper but remained emotionally unresolved for months. They waited, for clarity, for closure, for permission from the world and themselves. But something changed this year. According to Vanessa, it was a moment on a beach in the Bahamas, just weeks before the video, when Tiger looked at her and said simply, "We're not broken anymore." That's when she knew. It was time. Her admission didn't just ripple through the media, it shattered the delicate facade they had both tried to maintain. Within hours, the video had been shared thousands of times. Some fans applauded her honesty. Others, predictably, criticized the timing, the morality, the motives. Fallout, forgiveness, and the future. Within hours of Vanessa Trump's unexpected revelation, social media lit up with speculation. News outlets rushed to cover the story, dissecting her words and debating their implications. Morning shows questioned her motivation. Evening programs invited legal analysts and former insiders to weigh in. The conversation quickly shifted from surprise to fallout. Critics were quick to respond. Why now? What was the goal? Some accused her of trying to reshape a story that had already done damage to multiple families. Others pointed out inconsistencies with past statements made by Tiger Woods, suggesting her version challenged long-standing denials. For them, this wasn't about healing. It was about control. But there was another side. Supporters praised her composure, the clarity with which she spoke, and her willingness to talk about betrayal and loneliness without dramatics. For years, Vanessa had stayed silent while others spoke on her behalf. Now, she was choosing to speak for herself, and many felt she had earned that right. Then came the ripple effects. Several brands with ties to Tiger Woods reportedly held emergency meetings. A few quietly pulled advertising campaigns set to feature him. A scheduled interview was postponed indefinitely. Even a long-planned documentary segment was quietly shelved as producers reassessed the risks of moving forward. The story had become too unpredictable and too personal for business as usual. But through it all, Tiger stood by her. Not just privately, but publicly. He was there. Silent at first, but present. And sometimes, presence says everything. In the weeks that followed, what began as scandal slowly transformed into something more unexpected: solidarity. It all came to a head at a junior golf banquet in South Florida. The lights were bright, the crowd polite, and the press kept at a respectful distance. Kai Trump, Vanessa's teenage daughter, had just been recognized at a regional youth golf event. Nothing national, but a proud moment for her and her family. In the front row, Charlie Woods, Tiger's son, clapped with the easy warmth of someone familiar with the spotlight and the pressure that comes with it. It wasn't a scene anyone expected to see, members of two very different public families in the same room, sharing a quiet moment of support. But that night, there were no clear lines dividing them, just a sense of something quietly shifting. Then Vanessa Trump and Tiger Woods entered the room together. There was no red carpet, no official statement, no posed photo op, Just the two of them walking in side by side. Their relationship had stirred more curiosity than clarity over the past months. But this appearance wasn't about feeding the headlines. It was simply them, showing up together. The response was mixed, as expected. Some questioned her motives, others praised her honesty. But Vanessa didn't seem concerned with either reaction. She wasn't trying to control the conversation. She was just stepping into it with more clarity than before. In that moment, she wasn't just a former Trump or Tiger's new partner. She was a mother who showed up for her daughter. A woman who had weathered public fallout and personal reinvention. Someone who understood that moving forward wasn't always about making a statement. It was about choosing peace over performance. What comes next may not be perfect, but it's theirs to figure out. And this time, maybe, on their own terms. What would you have done if you held a truth this big? Would you have stayed quiet or stepped into the storm? Share your thoughts in the comments. Thank you for watching this video with us, and catch you in the next one.